Oh, great. Only 2,343 emails to get through. Guess I'll get through these by, I don't know, say 2,085. If that sounds like you, don't worry, you are not alone. Today I'm going to share some of my top tips to help you conquer your inbox without needing a time machine.
Let's just start with the first step in mastering email productivity, and that's defining your goals. Now, I know it might sound like a small detail, but trust me, it can make a world of difference in how you handle your inbox. And when I say goals, I'm talking about setting realistic, achievable targets for how you want to manage your emails. For example, you might aim for inbox 0 by the end of each week, or you might set a goal of keeping your inbox under 10 emails by the end of each workday. Having a clear target can actually reduce the stress because it gives you specific outcomes to work towards. Rather than feeling like you're constantly playing catch up, you know exactly what you're aiming for every day of the week. And remember, when you're setting these goals up, they should be tailored to your needs, whether that's responding within 24 hours or reducing unread messages to a certain number. Setting these benchmarks can help make email feel a bit more manageable and a lot less overwhelming. So let's move on to tip number 2. Now that we've set our email goals, let's dive into organizing your inbox with folders and labels. This one's a game changer for just keeping everything organized and streamlined and easy to find. Taking a look at my inbox, you can see I've got a number of folders already set up, but let's create some new folders. I think we need to think of folders and labels as a way to sort your emails by category. For example, I use folders like action needed for anything that requires me to respond, waiting for if I need somebody else to respond, or something like reference where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to need to refer back to this later. So let's just make a couple of folders really quick for actions, for waiting for, and for reference. So I'm using Apple Mail here, and Apple Mail really refers to folders as mailboxes. Let's start by creating some of these mailboxes. And Apple Mail calls them a mailbox, and most every other email program, they refer to them as folders. So we'll start by creating an action needed folder. I'll create one for waiting on, and let's make one called reference. Now I'm going to take these and I'm going to move them to the top of my stack of mailboxes here just to make it easier to sort everything. And the benefit of having a structure like this means you don't have to scroll through dozens or even hundreds of emails to find the one message you need. You can just click on a folder and bam, there it is. So if you know you've got time to answer a few emails, then you can immediately just jump right to the next action and get to work. So setting up folders and labels, they take just a few minutes, but it's one of those things that can save you hours down the line. And if you've got a lot of projects and a lot of things moving, it can really help you to stay on top of things. Don't be afraid to create more folders. I've used folders kind of similar to what you find in the Getting Things Done methodology. If you are not familiar with Getting Things Done, I'll put a link to the book down below by David Allen. It's a kind of a life-changing book for me. It's all about how to manage things like email. Since we've covered organizing with folders, let's move on to an even more powerful trick. And that's automating some of this organization with rules and filters. Let's take a look at setting up some rules by using Apple Mail's rule system. So to get to the rule section, you would click on Mail and click on Settings. And in this case, it's already jumped right over to rules, but you can see I've got two rules listed right here. I've got one called Alignable, and this was an email that I had started to receive a few months ago, and I realized really quickly that they were sending a ton of emails and I was not going to keep up with them, and so I didn't want them cluttering my inbox. So I simply created a rule, and I'll edit that, called Alignable, and then basically the rule says if any of these conditions are met, and if it comes from and contains alignable.com, move that message to a new mailbox called Alignable. And so now those messages are automatically moving in there. But you also notice this one that's here by default. It's called News from Apple. Let's take a look at that one. So this is essentially using colors to sort your email. If any email comes from the following domains, what will happen is the color of the background of that message will be set to that blue color that you see at the bottom. Where this could be beneficial is if you have something like a weekly report that comes in that needs urgent attention, you could say, if this email comes from this person or this domain, make this color red so that it'll stand out in your inbox and get your attention right away. One of the nice things about using these types of rules and filters is it just keeps those non-urgent emails out of sight until they're ready to deal with them. It can be a huge productivity booster. So if you're not already using rules or filters, now's a good time to give them a try. Next up, we're going to talk about setting specific time to check emails. That's a must for staying focused during the workday. So here's the deal. Constantly checking your email all day long is a productivity killer. If you're stopping every few minutes to take a peek at your inbox, it's like you're letting your email control your day. So I recommend setting up specific blocks to check your email. Did you know on average, if you're in the middle of a good flow of work, it takes 15 minutes to recover and get back into flow from an interruption such as an email? So if you have emails coming in every 3 to 4 minutes that you think need your attention and you go and you look at those, you can now start to see the pattern of why you're having trouble getting things done, because you're spending too much time checking email, then trying to get back into the flow of work, and then you get distracted by another email. And that's a vicious cycle that doesn't end. So if you can specify certain times where you'll check your email, that will make your life so much easier. I recommend something like checking your emails maybe at 9 a.m., at noon, and like around 4 o'clock. This way you can focus on work without major interruptions and still be on top of things. And you can let your colleagues and coworkers know, like, hey, I don't check my email constantly throughout the day, but I do check it and I will get back to you. It helps to set some expectations and the level set, because we're already going to be fighting all the other distractions like text messages and other notifications on your computer, such as Slack and those type of things. And if something is happening and people need to get a hold of you, they will figure out a way to get a hold of you. That has never been a problem. Now that we're setting boundaries on when to check emails, let's take a look at a quick way to respond when you do check them using templates and short replies. And if you're finding this useful, it would be awesome if you just click like, subscribe. Let me know that this video is resonating with you. Stick around to the end. I'll show you my favorite strategy for reclaiming my inbox. Let's face it, not every email really needs to have a carefully crafted response. Sometimes a quick, straight to the point response is all that's needed. And that's where templates can come in. Think of a template as like your email shortcut. If you often find yourself writing the same messages over and over, like scheduling meetings, answering the same questions, or confirming details, having templates ready can save you a ton of time. For example, I've got a little folder or mailbox called email templates. And in here, I keep some emails that I've just got ready to go. I've cleaned this out recently and I'm going to create some new ones, but in this case I've got one that just has a subject that says thank you, and the email's real quick. It just says thanks for reaching out, I'll get back to you soon. That particular email feels like it has saved me tons of time, because a lot of times I just need to acknowledge that an email was received and I don't want to spend a lot of time writing a big response right now, but at least I can let the sender know, hey, I got your message. You could use something like Text Expander, and whenever you typed TRO into your keyboard, it would actually pop out that sentence that says thanks for reaching out and I'll get back to you soon, to really speed things up. Most email programs will let you save templates so you can drop them in with a click. Apple Mail is one of those that really doesn't do a great job of that. So you could actually store those in a note or somewhere else so you can paste them in really quick. But give templates a try. They'll help you if you're busy handling repetitive emails. They will just save you a ton of time. Next up is a tip that's a game changer for keeping things manageable, and that's unsubscribing from all the emails you don't need. Newsletters, sales promotion, random updates, they can really pile up fast, can't they? I like to take a few minutes every week, go through my inbox, and just go on an unsubscribing spree. I go through my inbox, I look for things that I don't want to keep getting, and I just click unsubscribe. It's honestly pretty satisfying. And here's the truth. If you're not reading those emails now, you're probably never going to. So let's let them go and make room for the emails that actually matter. Another quick tip, if you're not quite ready to unsubscribe completely, you just can't make that commitment yet, then create a folder called newsletters and set up a rule to move those emails into that specific folder. So when you do feel like you want to go back and check on that, you'll have a place where they'll be there, but they'll be out of sight, out of mind, not cluttering up your inbox, but they're still there in case you think you might want to read some of them. Here's another powerful quick tip, the 2-minute rule. If an email can be handled in 2 minutes or less, then don't put it off, just take care of it. This rule is all about tackling those small tasks the moment they come in so they don't pile up. If it's something like confirming a meeting or just giving a quick answer, forwarding information, it usually takes less than 2 minutes. Why are you letting it sit in your inbox and take up space and mental energy? Think of it as a productivity game. The faster you can respond, the faster you can move on to the more important things. The flip side to that is going to be our next tip. It's a feature that makes it really easy to put off emails when they're not urgent, using the snooze or remind me later options. Sometimes you get emails that aren't urgent, but they do still need a response. And maybe they're going to take you more than 2 minutes to respond, so you don't have time to do it right now. That's where the remind me later feature comes in handy. Let's say you receive an email about an event happening next week. Rather than leaving it in your inbox and keep reminding you day after day after day, and you just snooze it until the day before, just say, remind me. And we can specify a date so it'll remind you appropriate time in the future. So let's take a look at this email from DonorBox. This is a message that says there's a webinar on November 20th at 1 p.m. Well, I'm not anywhere close to November 20th right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click on this email. I am going to choose Remind Me Later. And I'm going to specify a date. So that email says the webinar is on the 20th. So let's set a reminder for Monday on the 18th. And I'll hit schedule. So now what will happen is on Monday, November 18th at 3:20 in the afternoon, I will get a reminder at the top of my inbox to let me know that, hey, you've got this event coming up from DonorBox. Do you want to register for that? And of course, since I only check my email at 9, noon, and 4, this will be one of the first emails I see when I connect at 4 o'clock. This feature just helps you keep your inbox cleaner. It lets you focus on the things that matter right now. It's perfect for those non-urgent messages that can wait till later. Don't let your inbox control your schedule. Use snooze, use remind me later. You'll always see the emails when they are most important for you. We're getting close to the end. We've got a crucial step coming up next, turning off those non-essential email notifications. Let's be real, email notifications can be distracting. If you're constantly getting notified every time a new message comes in, it's really hard to stay focused on anything else. That's why turning off email notifications can be a huge game changer. If you can't turn them off completely, then I recommend you set your email to notify only when high priority messages come in. Or even better, turning them off completely during focused work time. This way you won't feel like you have to check your inbox every time you hear a little ding. And I promise you, that little red notification bubble, it can wait. Most emails are not life-changing, and so they can wait and be read 20 minutes later, 3 hours later. It's not a big deal. And if it is a big deal, like I mentioned before, they're going to know how to get in touch with you. It's almost time for the last tip. But before I do that, I want to introduce a bit of irony and recommend you sign up for my email newsletter. Yes, that's right. I want you to get more email, an email from me. Yeah, I have a newsletter. It's a brand new newsletter, but what I'm going to do with this newsletter is I'm going to produce things that I think are interesting, and I hope that you will find interesting as well. I'm going to include things like very useful YouTube tips that I've come across as I've grown my YouTube channel. I'm going to include things that I find interesting, or if I've made a product purchase that I think is really beneficial, then I'll be sure to share that in my newsletter. And it's a great way for you to give feedback to me. If there's something that you want to see me cover on my YouTube channel or in a future newsletter, it's a great way to just reply back to that so that we can have a dialogue and I can get to know all of my viewers just a little bit better. So with that, let's move on to the final tip. Tip number 10. In the time I have been sitting here, more emails have come in than I have been able to purge. I am now up to 2,341 unread messages, and I'm about to lose it. So when your inbox is in a complete disaster situation and no amount of organization seems to help, it might be time to consider the ultimate reset. Declaring email bankruptcy. I think this is an amazing way to get your email back under control. Let's see how that works. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new mailbox and we're going to call it Email Bankruptcy 2024. We're going to say, okay, what is email bankruptcy, you ask? Well, it's declaring email bankruptcy means we're going to archive or delete every email. We're going to wipe the slate clean. It sounds drastic, but for some people, it's the only way to start fresh. Now, what I'm going to do in this case is I am not going to delete every email, but I am going to select all my emails, and then I am going to literally take those emails and move them into Email Bankruptcy 2024. And what will happen is from that point forward, I will have a clean and empty inbox, which means from that point forward, I can start by going back through the previous 9 tips and implementing a strategy where I don't feel overwhelmed by all the email that are already in my inbox. And then over time, over the next few months, I can go back and I can reference any emails that are in that email bankruptcy folder. I promise you, this is a huge way to just feel like you've got your email back under control, but it's a low risk operation because your emails are all still there. I do recommend maybe taking a backup of your email before you do this, just to be on the safe side. But again, it is one of the ways to just start fresh. Nobody has to know that you've declared email bankruptcy because, like I said, all of their emails will still be there. They're just in a different folder. And then if you really want to take it to the next step, you can then ultimately go through and delete all of those emails. All right, that's 10 tips to help you conquer your inbox and boost your productivity. Thanks so much for watching. If these tips were helpful, then please do me a favor and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more productivity tips. And let me know in the comments, what is your biggest email challenge? I'd love to help you tackle that if I can.